Welcome into the Saints post-game show alongside former Saints linebacker, Super Bowl champ Scott Shanle. I'm Erin Summers. John DeShazier will join us from Indianapolis shortly as the Saints get the victory, 38-27 over the Indianapolis Colts. No tricks there. All the treats for the Saints offensively. Derek Carr, 19 of 27, 310 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Overall, the offense had 511 yards. Yeah. Is this what the Saints were thinking they had offensively all along?
Yeah, I think when this team was put together in the offseason, I think fans certainly expected that. Coaches, everybody was excited about the addition of Derek in the offseason. You look at the weapons, but today everything just seemed to click. Derek played his best game of the year. You had taken advantage of Rashid's speed. You had the red zone woes going away. You were 3 for 3 at one point. You kicked the field goal at the end. So all the things that people were talking about the Saints need to get better at, they got better at in one game. And I think the challenge in this league is, can you do it the next week and then the next week? That stacking wins, stacking success. But today's game was unbelievable. And I think the thing that impressed me the most about today's game was there was a point of adversity early in the game where it was like your season kind of teeters. Like, we're just going to keep playing the way we've been playing and lose this game, and your season's kind of a wash. But they dug their way out of that early adversity and found a way to play their best football game of the year.
Absolutely. The Colts did score first, and it looked pretty easy for them to do so on their second drive of the game. John is in Indianapolis. I know you were in the locker room talking to the team all week long. You knew there were a lot of hard conversations that were had between Carr and his players. What did you think happened between what we saw in New Orleans and what we saw on the field in Indy?
Well, they continued to say it was minor things, that little things that needed to be corrected, and I think most of those little things they were able to correct on this day as we listened to Club Dub in the background. But the Saints were able to put it together. I mean, they really needed to have a good get-right game. I don't know if this gets you right for the entirety of the season, but certainly it enables you to have something to look at and say, okay, this is what we're capable of. A 17-7 deficit, as Scott mentioned early, and they were able to rally from that. Derek Carr played a clean game. Had the lost fumble, but other than that, played a clean game. Rashid Shaheed is the deep threat that everybody thought he'd be. Continues to get behind defenders, which is amazing, and continues to come up with big catches. And defensively, started slow, but were able to put together enough stops in the second half and get a turnover out of Gardner Minshew to really kind of get the Saints back into this game and keep them into this game when it could have slipped away if they had not tightened up a little bit defensively. So overall, it's basically what you wanted to see out of the Saints. Not a totally clean game, but clean enough to where you're able to win a game on the road. Obviously not the best version of the Colts. They don't have Anthony Richardson, but you still are able to get on the road, get a win. And wins in the NFL are difficult. We know that from the last couple of weeks. And at Houston and against Jacksonville, it's tough to win in this league. And so to be able to do it on the road, to get 500 yards, to have multiple guys with 2 touchdowns. Derek Carr throws for 2, Alvin scores 2, Taysom scores 2. A really big offensive output, which is what the Saints have been needing this season. They've been needing to be able to take some pressure off that defense to allow some margin of error for the defense, and they were able to do exactly that in this one, Aaron. So it's one that they've got to feel really good about, and you hopefully are able to take that momentum into the next weekend and on to the rest of the season, because now you have a really good indication of what you're able to do. So Aaron and Scott, a really good win for the Saints on the road to get to 4-4, and I believe tied for the NFC South lead now. So exactly where they want to be right now.
Thanks, JD and Scott. As you mentioned, they did get down early in this one. The Saints down 17-7 early in the game. So there are some things that need to be cleaned up, but I just want to bask in the win for a second and all of the good things that did happen in this game. Defensively, as the game went on, what clicked for that unit?
I just think the strength of this defense started to show as the game went along. You saw the pass rusher. For last couple of games, you didn't see quite the same pass rush, guys winning one-on-one battles. And you saw those guys winning one-on-ones as the game went along, pressuring Minshew, speeding his clock up. When his clock got sped up and he wasn't able just to sit back there and pat the ball, that's when you saw the turnovers happen. Adebo gets a big takeaway. And I think the takeaway, once you start getting takeaways in games, you build the confidence on the sideline. You build the confidence throughout your defense. The offense feeds off that. The offense feels like, well, if the defense is taking the ball away for us, we got to do something with it. And I love the change in the body language of this team as the game went along. You mentioned it being down early, fighting back through that adversity, getting the lead, playing some of your best football, and at the end of the game, the guys laughing, talking with each other, Cam Jordan, Derek Carr laughing and talking about that they were probably betting each other who's going to have more sacks, who's going to have more touchdown passes. That's just what competitive teams do, and it's just great to see that body language and that excitement on the sideline.
Well, Carr had more touchdown passes
than
Jordan had sacks. Jordan played in his 200th career game as a Saint. He has been phenomenal for this team. Did get in on half a sack late in the game with Carl Granderson. Nathan Shepard got one earlier. And, actually, it looks like the stats took that half a sack away from Jordan.
Oh, they gave it to Carl?
It's only Carl Granderson, so sorry
That'll
about
be interesting in the defensive meeting room. We need reality TV on a defensive meeting room because they fight over sacks.
No, Jordan is going to immediately go to the league and contest that because he loves to argue for any half a sack or full sack, anything that he can get.
And Carl's going to say, aren't you the franchise all-time sack leader? Do you need my half a sack?
Absolutely.
So that'll be fun.
Carl Granderson has been phenomenal this year. He now has 5.5 sacks on the season. But you mentioned Paulson Adebo earlier. He did have the interception. I just think overall his game was great today. He had 3 pass deflections. He was all over the field, and he's gotten some flack for maybe being too aggressive at times. What did you like about his play?
Well, I think the thing about Paulson is sometimes people get on for getting penalties or grabbing, but his game is being physical. He is a big, strong corner. He can run too, but he is the prototypical corner that everybody wants now to match up against these big receivers in the NFL. And I think so sometimes you get handsy and when you get physical with the receivers, you get penalties, but Paulson's made big plays. I mean, you go all the way back to his rookie year, the game that was against the Packers in Jacksonville. He stepped on a big stage, had an interception early in that game. So Paulson seems to have these big games when it's needed most.
It definitely was a really good moment for the defense, and I just think they continued to apply more pressure and feel more confident as the game went on. Early in the game, though, there was that strip sack from Buckner on Derek Carr. So that was within the moments where we were kind of saying, okay, which way is this going to go? And then the Colts immediately scored after that, went up 17-7. And then you see Taysom Hill get into the game and get quite a bit of run as taking the direct snaps, but then also he was passing the ball around a little bit. So what did you see in his usage in this game that worked well?
I loved his usage, first of all. I think this is the Taysom Hill that everybody loves to see. And some of that can be attributed to Juwan Johnson being back. You know, Taysom had to play some of the things that Juwan did, maybe not so much in the passing game, but blocking and playing some true tight end. And now with Juwan being back, Taysom can be Taysom. Taysom can be that Swiss Army knife that everybody loves seeing. I love not only when Taysom gets on the field, we know what he can do in the running game. This new short yardage running game they have with Sanders back there at fullback is pretty impressive. But having Taysom throw the ball, when Taysom's on the field, and just 2 or 3 times a game, it keeps the defense off balance. And if teams are on their heels when he's on the field and he's running the ball, you can get 3 or 4 yards every time.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the tell that it's going to be a run every time if he's going to hit some of the receivers the way that he did today. A big throw to Rashid Shaheed. Rashid Shaheed was phenomenal, just outrunning his man every time. And the thing is there was a couple plays, especially on the touchdown. Chris Olave had 2 defenders on him. He was clearly getting most of the focus from the Colts defensively. Rashid beat his man and was a perfect option on that 58-yard touchdown.
You don't see many times in this league guys just running by people. And Tyreek Hill is one guy that everybody talks about doing it. But Rashid Shaheed, him and Tyreek Hill are the only guys who average 16 miles per hour every time they touch the ball. And it's not just a couple times. They are moving at a very fast pace. And if you saw those clips, the guy is just standing there for the Colts, and he has no chance. I mean, every DB around the league and every defense coordinator is going to tell their DBs, when you're lined up against 22, you better back up. So what's that do? You might see more comeback routes, more sit routes. It's really going to open up the underneath game for this offense. I thought the way the Saints called the game, went to Michael early. Michael Thomas, classic Michael Thomas routes. Deep dig, slant route, the back shoulder fade. We haven't seen that all year. So they opened the game with the classic Michael Thomas routes, and then you really saw the downfield throws get opened up. I thought it was a great – I don't think anybody will argue that Pete Carmichael called his best game of the year today. It was outstanding. Yeah,
he was very versatile in his calls. They used the entire field, as you mentioned, setting up Michael Thomas kind of on some of those short passing routes early in the game, and then you open up the deep ball to Rashid, and then you get Olave on the perimeter, Taysom Hill in the mix. And then I think the way that they used the running backs was really good today, taking some of the pressure off of Alvin Kamara. getting him involved more in the receiving game, and then Jamal Williams' ability to be really effective when he got the ball.
Yeah, Jamal did an outstanding job today, but I think running the ball in the red zone solved the red zone woes. Coming into the game, everybody was concerned about the red zone. Running the ball effectively, but going back to the red zone, the play calling, I'll give Pete credit again, because for years, I can go all the way back to Reggie Bush and Darren Sproles, and now it's Alvin Kamara, running that choice route out of the backfield. And what that is you come up, and if the linebacker's playing inside, you run outside. If the linebacker's playing outside, you run inside. They're giving you a choice. Nobody can guard any one of those three running backs. It makes life really hard for a linebacker. So it was a great play call in the red zone for a touchdown. Then they come back with a draw, classic route or classic calls you've seen over the years. So I thought it was almost like Pete went back and said, let me pull out a play sheet from 10 years ago and let me go back to some of this stuff, because some of the play calls we saw today were a lot like you saw. Even the seam route to Juwan down the middle of the field, it was a good throw by Derek. Probably shouldn't have thrown it. It was in a double coverage. But that was Jimmy Graham. That was Jeremy Shockey over the years. So a lot of the same play calls.
Yeah, it was good to see multiple players get used in this game. 8 different players caught passes from Derek Carr. Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara both had over 60 yards on the ground. And then you add in the fact that Rashid Shaheed had 153 yards on just 3 catches. Pretty good average there. And Jamal Williams had 30 yards. So they were getting a lot of usage out of all of their playmakers. And we talked about how many offensive weapons are on this team. I think Pete Carmichael found a way to use each of them very effectively in this game. Going forward, what would you like to see him kind of continue to bring in?
Well, I think.
Hold on, it looks like we have Dennis out.
is
So
up.
we'll let
Things, I think it's the third time since 2018 that, Saints offense has had 3 games of over 400 yards, So there's been good things that we've done. We just hadn't been able to capitalize on all those things. Obviously, we were much better in the red zone, in this game. And that, when you're scoring touchdowns in the red area instead of kicking field goals, that, usually puts your points up there a lot more. So thought we had some good explosive plays. I thought we ran the ball effectively. So there was a lot of things to like with what we did offensively. And yet I think there were still some plays out there. So, there's always things that you can get better at. It's not a real big secret, when you freaking block them, and you hit the right hole, then usually it's effective. And if you don't block them, then it's usually not very effective. So I thought we did a better job of blocking them down there today. Yeah, look, he's been highly effective for us. That package down there has been effective for us, and so we got to get into that position a lot more often, and then I think we'll utilize that package as we see fit. I thought he ran the offense well. I thought there was a lot of really good things that he did. I thought there was a mix of huddle, tempo, a lot of different things that we incorporated into the offense. I thought, Pete and those guys on the offensive staff, I thought they did a hell of a job putting together a great plan. I thought our players went out and executed it. And that's really, kind of the secret to having success is put together a good plan and guys go out and execute that plan.
You seem to get rid of the ball quicker today. Did you feel that? Did it feel more comfortable to you?
Yeah, look, I thought he did a good job of reading some things out and getting the ball out to the right people. I know we're going to look back at the tape and there's going to be a few plays where we'd love to have it back, but I thought overall, what I thought about our offense, I felt like there was a rhythm to what we were doing offensively, and that was good to see.
Elaborate a little on this you guys are dealing with this week. I was surprised it might pop up on Saturday night.
Yeah, look, it's no fun. It's just it's a GI bug that's kind of been going through the group a little bit. We had a few players that kind of popped up with it over the last, call it 24 hours. So hopefully it kind of runs its course. It's about kind of a 12 to 24 hour, where you don't feel very good for a little while, and then you kind of get back to normal. So. Yeah, look, I mean, look, the biggest thing, with Marcus is that he really wasn't able to practice this week. So, and I think that's the great thing about having, some depth in our secondary is that we feel confident that guys can step in there and play and perform at an acceptable level. So, I'll look at the tape and kind of determine exactly how well, he did. I know there's a few plays that, didn't sit well with me, but I think overall he did a pretty nice job.
Dennis, did you guys actually play in sick today?
Yes. I couldn't tell you exactly what the number, but there was a handful of guys that, weren't feeling great.
What's the biggest area of growth you've been able to, make or take to develop into a more all-around receiver this year?
Look, I don't think we're there yet. I think there's still a lot of meat left on the bone in terms of what we need to be able to do and what he can do. Obviously, his explosiveness down the field is probably his biggest trait. And his ability to, like I can think in the last few weeks, Houston being one, the play today, where he goes and makes a play on the football and high points the ball. So there's some of that I'm seeing that I really like. I think it's all the little bitty intricacies and the little bitty details that he's still got to improve on. But his speed and explosiveness makes him really difficult to cover.
How different is that? I mean, you've got like 40 or more this year.
Yeah, I would think so. I couldn't tell you who the players are in our league, but I bet you it's a small number. And I bet there's a lot of recognizable names in terms of guys that have that many 40-plus yard receptions. So, and look, not only does that benefit us, being able to get the ball to him down the field, but it opens up a lot of other things in the passing game when you got a guy that has that type of threat. Yeah, that was huge. That was huge. And so it was one that went our way, which was good to see. I don't know that I stood up here and said that very often, so it was good to get one.
Dennis, did Derek Carr in this offense need a game like this?
I think we all needed a game like this. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about the offense, but like we needed to win, and we got one. We got one as a team. And so, there was a lot to like. There were some things that weren't, up to our standard. And so, look, we're going to enjoy this, and then we got to get back to work, and we got another, big game this week against Chicago coming into our place.
Since you guys have done this a couple times now, kind of tight game, fourth quarter, big third down play, going for push out, big vertical play from the field.
Well, look, I mean, I think it was 3rd and 13 on that particular play, so it was going to take something down the field. We got a one-on-one matchup with Shaheed, and, we took the one-on-one matchup. Shaheed won.
You talked earlier this week about culling the number of plays for certain situations and simplifying the offense to kind of impact it right now.
Well, look, I mean, I would just say that I felt like our guys were much more on point with the execution of the plan, this week. And so, it just stands to reason that, if you have 25 plays instead of 50 plays, it's a lot easier to be on point with all the little bit details that go along with each play. So, I thought that was part of the success. Well, probably initially when Adam Prentice went down, and so then you start looking at, okay, who on your team, can kind of fill that role in certain situations. And look, he thinks he's a running back anyway, so we put him in there and make him feel like he's a running back, and then we don't give him the ball. We make him go block somebody. So, but it was, I mean, that's pretty much the inspiration for why we put him back there. No, there's not a nickname for that package. It's, just a normal goal line package.
Chris had rough moments. You think he bounced back
Yeah, look, I think he's in a good spot. I mean, there's ups and downs with young players. I'm not worried about Chris Olave. I think he's going to be a big part of, what we're able to do, hopefully successfully as we go down the stretch here. So he's going to be a big part of our offense. Look, he made some big plays for us today.
The drop pass that looked like it was about to be a touchdown. Did y'all get to connect with that, but it was lost in the lights?
Yeah, he just lost the ball there. I mean, he ran a hell of a route, and then just kind of couldn't find the ball coming out of it.
After this week, this week you had a lot of discussion, players meeting with each other and stuff like. As a head coach, is that initiated by you, or players kind of getting together on offense? And how they respond.
Well, look, I'd say there's probably a combination. There were some conversations that obviously I initiated. There was obviously conversations that were initiated, amongst the players. I think we got a pretty veteran group, and they know that, there's a standard that we hold ourselves to, and we hadn't been playing to that standard. So we went to work to try to fix it. You guys good? All right, that's all I got.
Okay, Cam. I try to put something together. I do it for those who refuse to, Everybody could rock this color, they just choose not to. Good watch, good pocket square. It all comes together, right? Hi, all 7 of us, let's do this.
How do you feel about the way the team performed today?
With every win or loss, there's lessons to be learned. I think that our defense got gashed on the second series, which we started out quick. We needed to stay hot. To get that series back, I think it'll be even a better win for us. I think we were able to get to the quarterback a lot, just another week of him changing up sets and getting the ball out faster than usual. But I think we ended up with 2 sacks. There was a sack by me and Grando, and then a sack by one of our interior. Got to be Shep. Definitely Shep. He had a great spin by, grabbed him, and I wish we would have had more. So we got to keep on hunting. I was just complaining. I was like, Carl jumped on my sack. I said, I got to split that. Someone's going to probably correct me, and they're going to give it to Carl. I was like, at this point, I'm just fighting an uphill battle. It's about the wins. That's what we're here for.
Jonathan Taylor's first 7 carries, he averaged just over 11 yards. But then the next 5, he averaged under 3. What was the adjustment?
So the first carry, he probably had like 6. And then the second tote, he went for that 60-something, which helped all the other carries. Just eliminate the overplaying of gaps, getting back to playing our ball. One thing seeing on film versus playing them, their O-line, I think, did a good job of trying to be position blockers early in the game. And once we understood that concept, we knew we had to stay in our gaps, and everything came to fruition as we needed it to. All right, great. I think we had a great job. Good job, guys.
In true Cam Jordan fashion, he decides when he starts and when he stops. And he did address the fact that he thought Carl Granderson jumped on his sack and that he would not get half of a sack. And I don't know who's going to break it to him, but he definitely is going to have a letter or a phone call to make, I guess, to the league. Going back to what Dennis Allen said, though, he did say that we needed this win. Mm-hmm. Everybody needed I needed it. Yeah. Like, the fans needed it. Everybody needed a win. And it kind of took the entire game for everybody to finally exhale at the end when it was over.
Yeah, I tell you, when it's 17-7, I just pictured some Saints fans thinking, "What am I going to do now? Like, what team? What am I going to do the rest of this year?"
Pelicans.
Like, Pelican season's getting started. Zion, but no, that's where I think the character of this team really showed. And I already talked about when that adversity strikes. There are turning points in games, but there's also turning points in seasons, and it was really teetering on that. And for that team to fight their way out of it, and it sounded like Michael Thomas has been more of a vocal leader. He was on the sideline, fist bumping guys, talking, and it's really not what he's been doing. But he's at that point in his career where you broke records in the NFL for receptions in a season. Guys will listen to you, and I think Michael's taken that role a little bit more serious. And but when it all comes down to it, it's about making plays. It's Dennis says it all the time. Sean Payton says it all the time. Bill Parcells said it all the time when I was with Bill. Is confidence comes from demonstrated ability. You can have all the confidence in the world, but it's fake confidence until you prove you can do it. And once this team started playing well and doing the things that they knew they could do, that's when you saw them blow this game wide open.
Speaking of somebody who it seems like they have gained a lot of confidence is the second-year player second-year player in wide receiver, Rashid Shaheed. He was huge today with those big catches, but he seems like, and I think that the coaching staff still would like to find other ways to use him. Dennis Allen just said now there's still a little more meat left on the bone there when it comes to him and his abilities, what he can do for us. How do you think they should look to use him?
Well, I think the one thing you could do with Rashid is kind of like you want to compare him to Tyreek Hill because they're the same type of player. Rashid's taller than Tyreek, but they're both explosive and fast. And you find ways to get in to playmakers' hands, whether it's a wide receiver screen, whether it's a reverse, double reverse. You can manipulate tons of different ways to get the ball into guys like that hands. But I think going back to what the offense did today and Rashid, I think Pete did a great job of calling the game as it came to him. It wasn't, we haven't got the ball to this guy yet. We need to get the ball to this guy yet. He just looked at Indy.
So that's been a lot of fun. And, a little change up makes it fun too. You see him in the huddle. Yeah, look, we've been talking for the last however many weeks offensively, like we're this close, and we had some silly things the last few weeks, penalties that have killed some drives, and I felt offensively we were right on the brink of a game like this. So to answer your question, it was good to finally put it all together. It gives us a lot of confidence moving forward. Yeah. I mean, I think, look, from the beginning, our expectations were be able to, score like this, right? I think historically, like we've been moving the ball, but we haven't obviously been scoring as much as we should have. So, look, I think it's nice as an offense to see everything come together. And so that's the expectation. It's everybody, coming together and doing their job and their responsibility, and, that's the result. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, we didn't know how they were going to adjust, to me at halftime, and we kind of felt like they might be a little bit more aggressive, and they were, and so we, wanted to take a shot, and she, for as fast as he is, and the dude plays the ball, as good as anyone I've been around. So when you get a look and an opportunity like that, you're going to let him, go up and make a play, and man, he did, and I was certainly grateful. Yeah, communication was good, and look, I think we talk about the details and putting it all together, and I know that we had a few false starts there that killed a few drives, but all in all, I felt like all of those little details, communication being at the head of that, came together, and we played very well. All right, I'll let Derek talk.
Gosh, it feels good to freaking smile. Let's go. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, especially especially in the red zone. We had been moving the ball. Whether we threw it, ran it, doesn't matter. We did it all in all kind of ways today, and that's exciting for us. So it feels good, and it's exciting. Some of the stuff we talked about over the weekend and all that kind of stuff, we did better at the end of the game, and like I told you earlier this week, I think we're getting better, and I'm just happy that the fruits of that showed up. You never know how long it takes and all that kind of stuff. Now the word's just being consistent with what we're doing.
All the talks you all had this week, all the meetings, felt needed this?
I think so. It was needed. especially for myself, when I'm at one place for 9 years, if I get banged up or hurt something, everyone in that building knew I was playing that Sunday. If I, got upset or, something like that, they knew where my heart was coming from and all that. I could rely on that, whereas I'm in a new place and new things are happening. You got to prove yourself. You got to help guys understand where you're coming from, help guys build the relationship. And that's something that I just felt like the Lord put on my heart to do better this week. And, I thought some of that showed up today, and try not to be so emotional. If a bad play happened, and just keep it pushing and talk about it and move on. And I was really proud of how we handled that kind of stuff too.
But you did show some emotion after a couple of big plays.
Yeah, oh yeah, the exciting ones,
Right.
the exciting time. Yeah, I was trying to. I've always said, like I always told you, I try my best to stay here, but sometimes on those big plays, I get real excited. Even on runs, like I see someone's block, I'll just go nuts. I just love that stuff. And so that part I was good with. But the negative stuff, I just try to be more upbeat and positive. Knowing that we still had a lot of game left to play. So I thought we handled our body language and those kind of things better this week. Well, Pete trusted us, again with that. It was something that we talked about that we liked during the week, and I had got to that situation. I told him, going into those last couple of drives, I was like, Pete, that's a call I like, because he's always asking me. It's not like it's a new thing, he's always asking. I was like, I like this one, and honestly, I was even thinking Chris, but the safety stayed more on this hash and allowed Sheed, versus Press to go win and make a huge play for us. And what a day that guy had. I think well, we won. That always helps. A lot of the things look better. And we did better in the red zone. We were moving the ball. Right now, and I say for the past couple weeks, we've been moving the ball well, but we finished today. And like I had told everybody before, like I told you guys earlier this week on Wednesday, I feel like we're getting better, even though the whole world was falling down. I was like, inside our building, we're getting better. We're communicating. We're talking about things, and I thought that showed today. And that was the thing too, is like me and Jameis were talking, like it's cool that we won this game, especially after the communication and conversations that we had relationally and all those kind of things. To see it come to fruition today was cool. I just, like I had said before, when I was at one place for, no, you're fine. I was at one place for 9 years. If I was hurt, no one even asked if I was playing. If I came, if I yelled or if I was upset or if I did something, they knew where I was coming from, and I felt like it was really important for me in a new place that I felt the Lord put on my heart. Like I needed to, describe what I'm thinking, what I'm seeing, communicate better, and not just rely on 9 years in a place that wasn't this place. And so that takes time, that takes relationship, but. Like me and AK said, like we were standing on our sideline, we knew it'd take time, but our demand won't change. Like we want it to happen now.
Eric, is that mindset there where you're saying I've been in one place for 9 years, now things are different, your teammates, your coaches, and everything? How much of that, early on may have led to some struggles and some criticism, and then this realization that, hey, things are different, I want to embrace it. How much of that kind of came together today?
Yeah, well, a lot came together today. I thought we finished better in the red zone. I felt like we've been moving the ball, running it, throwing it, however. But it did. I mean, to go whatever we went percentage-wise in the red zone, it was great, and that's huge for us. And so, just like I said before, I'm in a new place, but I can't rely on almost a decade of just like, what do you mean? Like, why do I even have to explain myself? I knew that it was important for me to just have those conversations so people could understand my heart and where I'm coming from. And I'm never personal. Like I genuinely love all my teammates. I'd do anything for them. And so I'm just happy we were able to win so that could come to fruition. Yeah. So it was just a play we had liked during the week. It was a great plan by RC, Pete, DJ, and the offensive staff. Like they're like, hey, we like this look and this route, and And I said, well, me too, And there was a play at the end of the game. Pete always comes up to me, hey, I'm thinking this. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? And that was a play in the fourth quarter I said that I had liked, and he went to it. And, because he came up with it, so it was good.
There was something about your processing today that was a little quicker. Did you feel like you were getting rid of it quicker or feeling it quicker today?
No. I just felt like we finished in the red zone today. I felt like we've been moving the ball really well, for a couple weeks now. But I wish I could say yes to you to help you, but I don't. I feel comfortable, and in the sense of playing quarterback, and all those kind of things.
Earlier in the week, you talked about calling the play selection in certain situations and things like that, simplifying it, describing what the impact of something like that can happen on.
Well, I mean, we have a lot of playmakers, and I thought Pete did a great job of just putting us in positions, and give it, and you get a guy like AK in space, on matchups and those kind of things, and getting Chris on this route and Sheed on this, and I thought they did a great job, great plan, and our guys executed the plan. I thought we executed the plan, but I thought all 11 guys at a time, and there's mistakes out there. We can find those all the time, but I thought for the most part all 11 guys played complementary to each other on offense. AK can run a great run, but if I miss a throw, or run a great route, but if I miss it, oh well. So it goes that way for everybody. But I thought we complemented each other with good plays after good plays.
You almost had Juwan on the seam in the end zone there.
Yep.
Just the impact of having it back.
Yeah, I can't believe he almost had it. I really gave him a chance, and looking back at it, I was like, yeah, I could have dumped. AK probably felt I could have got that one to him too. Give him another one. But Juwan down the middle, that's a throw we've made in training camp and in practice and things like that. So I felt comfortable cutting it loose, and he still almost had it. But having him back, made a big third down catch for us on a little end break, 5 yards. And that's a huge play for us to keep the chains going. But it was great to have him back for sure.
Derek, was this one that you guys needed? The 500 yards of 38 points, just for confidence and momentum and all those things. Was this one you needed a game like this?
I can help you with this one. Yes. Yeah, I think yes. I think it was good because, we have a lot of young players. We also have a lot of guys that have played a lot of football. And, usually when you play a lot of football, you know how this thing goes. If you just keep working, everybody's doing the right thing, you'll end up having a day like that, But sometimes, some guys that haven't experienced much, like, gosh, what's happening, And I thought today was a great example of just us continuing to work, us continuing to trust and come together. Which we're still going to keep doing this week. Keep coming together, keep trusting each other, keep just trying to do our job. It's that simple. But yeah, I felt like we needed that because I thought we did a great job of in the week going like this. So then the fruition of it, having points and having yards and all that, it feels good. Thank you. He's always protecting.
One of the young guys, A.T. Perry, got his first opportunity.
Yep.
Back today. Have like a large role. Can you just talk
Yeah.
a little bit about what you've seen?
We've seen a lot of great things from AT in practice. I mean, he's an amazing receiver, amazing talent. His scout team cornerback abilities are very poor, though. He holds the script in his hand, and sometimes he doesn't get that part right. But he's a rookie, so I got to give him a hard time. But I think the world of AT, I really do. I think he's a great player, and he has a chance to play in this league a long time. Yeah, thanks.
It was big. I think feel good when you can go out there and kind of execute. I think what we've been missing is that kind of third down. Really third down and red zone execution, and it felt good to kind of get that going today and have some good looks in the red zone and convert and be able to end drives with touchdowns. So we're looking to build off of it. Still wasn't perfect. Still wasn't where we feel like we're capable of being, but it's a good start. I think it was positive today.
You talked before about wanting to run more in the red zone. Obviously, you guys took that.
Because we can do it. You know what I'm saying? We just got to do it. So it was good to rip some of those runs off down there. The O-line did their thing. I think anytime we can get them going and get them kind of juiced up with the run game, the offense opens up, So they did a good job today. I just carried the ball.
I wasn't saying
Oh yeah, man. You know, Taysom. That's like Taysom is like the equivalent to the tush push. He kind of, he like it's what's coming, and it's like you can't stop it. So, I mean, that's what Taysom does. He get in there, he don't complain. It's if it's a hard run, he going. If it's one of them easy ones, he going. So, it's good to have that kind of in our Rolodex and be able to get that off when we need to. You said who? Colin. Oh, Kalen. Yeah. Bink. Oh yeah, man. Bink crazy, dog. Bink. Look, if we let Bink change his number to 41, whatever, 41, 49, man. Look, Bink will play running back if we let him. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, he's an athletic dude, and it's part of that is just wanting to do it, and he wants to do it. Like I think that's part of the reason he's in that package, because he was campaigning for it for so long and just talking. He was just talking, like annoying almost. Like, man, put me in there. And they was like, all right, come on. Today, he got three or four in a row, and it's a little different when you really got an offensive offensive drive going. Like he usually come in for one and go out. He was in there for three. He was like, it was flying, it was moving fast. I'm like, yeah, but. I mean, it's good to be able to have Bink in there. I mean, he got a good feel for it. He knows what he's doing. So, I mean, he's just a pro.
Hey, Alvin, one of the things that Derek just mentioned was really for the first time all year, it just felt like today was the day when all 11 guys on offense played complementary football together. Can you talk a little bit about that? What the vibe was like today?
The vibe was we need to get a win. The vibe is like the vibe area. Sunday, we want to go out and execute, and some Sundays we fall short. Some Sundays it comes together. It came together today. I mean, I still feel like we missed on a lot. You know what I'm saying? There's still more out there. I'm happy about the win always, but I'm always looking for the extra. Like we got some plays that we could have hit. I don't know. Chris must have seen. I don't know what he saw when that ball went up, but that's a good one. And then I know he was talking about. Derek was talking about the one with Jawan in the end zone. I mean, we've seen Jawan make that play. It was good coverage, but, we still want that one. What else? We had some false starts that kind of took us back in the drive. It's still a lot out there. So, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but, it's a good day. But, you look at the film and then you're like, man, we still got more. So, we got to keep going. Just keep going, like I've been saying. We got the Bears next. That's what I'm looking at. So, hopefully we go in. Well, not hopefully. This week we go in and get back to work, rinse and repeat, and then see if we can go 1-0, and then we'll worry about the next opponent the next week. Yeah. No, I like that no linebacker can cover me when we call it. So, I think. No, it's just been trying to get that kind of back into our offense and back up. And, Derek likes the call. I think as an offense, I think we like the call. It's just getting the right looks and getting out there and getting in position to be able to call those. Sometimes in my head I'm like, man, we need to just call it and just rip it. But, you can't do that with every play and just force it. So I'm happy we got one off. Hopefully the offensive staff goes upstairs and just puts that on the call sheet next week. So it was good though.
What was this week like dealing with the Bucs?
I ain't have what everybody else got. I don't know what they had. They got something. Everybody got diarrhea and stuff. I ain't had that. I just had a little respiratory, but it's cool. I mean, once you've been in this league for a minute, it's like the preparation is the preparation. I can miss a day, 2 days, and kind of. Just pick up where I left off, or just pick up right where everybody's at, and be up to date and up in tune. So, you got to be a pro about it. You got to keep working. Yeah. Yeah, man. I like when we can get work the middle of the field. You got Mike, you got Olave, you got Rasheed, and then you got Jawan, and obviously Foster, and then Jimmy when he's up going. We got players that can attack the middle of the field, and we have ball players that can attack the middle of the field. So to see it and to put it on film is good. We just got to build on it, and keep getting to those plays and getting to those looks. I mean, we got dudes that can win, so a lot of these plays are just about winning. So to win, you got to call it. And, I think just putting faith in, our play calling one, and then the players that are running these plays to be like, man, go out there and win. You just got to go in and get the ball, and let's do it again and keep moving. Because, it's a matchup league, and I think since I've been here, this is one of the most talented groups that, we have as far as matchup wise. Like, I don't see a defense that I'm worried about, as far as matchups go. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just got to bring their best and hope they can beat us. We won. It was good. I don't have like a big elaborate, I guess, spiel on that. It's just he did what he had to do. We did our job, and we got to win. I'm looking to next week. They say the 24-hour rule. I'll be like, once I get on the bus and go to the plane, I'm like, man, next week. I don't even want to. I really don't even want to watch the film, honestly. Win or lose, I'll be like, man, come on, let's go to next week.
Tell us a little bit about the impact of Jamal Williams now kind of being a little bit more in the
Yeah, he was hurt. He came back. I think he gets some juice. He's one of those dudes that he want to do the grunt work. He want to do the pretty work. It don't matter. Whatever you put on his plate, he gonna attack. And when he kind of gets going and gets to feeling it, it's good energy. You know what I'm saying? So. Hopefully we can get them rolling some more, and it's just another piece of our offense. Yeah, shoot. When he rolling, it's cool. We can just go back and forth, ping pong. So, like I said, when Jamal got here, I know Jamal, and I like what he brings as a teammate, as a player. He just got fired, so happy he got going today. Oh, yeah, I was sick. I just ain't have what everybody else had. They had that little shit bug. I don't know. Yeah, I know. Did you have to get, like, IVs or anything? Oh, I get IVs every week, but I did. I got a little extra fluid, though.
That was a crazy scene in the locker room. All those IVs.
Oh, yeah, man. You got to do what you got to do, dog. It is what it is.
There was a bunch of guys out there playing sick with.
Yeah. But what you going to do? What you going to do? Can't do nothing. Yep.
That was quarterback Derek Carr and running back Alvin Kamara. Kamara and Carr both reiterating the fact that the keys for the game today was the fact that they finished. Mm-hmm. They converted on their third downs, but then more importantly, they were 3 for 3 in the red zone. And you mentioned getting the run game going as a factor to that. But how much confidence does it give this team knowing that not only did they convert every time they were in the red zone, but they finally scored in the final 2 minutes of a game, which is something they have not done all season?
Yeah, it always feels good as a player when fans kind of tell you what your weaknesses are, but you know what your weaknesses are inside the building. And for it to continually happen week after week, you finally get a game where you say, we can do this. It's just not going to happen all 17 weeks of the season. Like we've talked about it, and the key word for this postgame show has been confidence. Confidence for the team, the organization, the players individually. Like they've shown themselves what they can be. And you heard Dennis say this still isn't the best product that we can be. And the players kind of allude that too. And listen to Derek say it just feels good to smile. And Alvin was in a good mood. So you start to dissect games and you say we can do this and this better. But you besides the penalties, early in the game the penalties were still kind of the thing. You're penalized too much. That would be the biggest negative from today. But all those other things that were your issues going into the game, you came out of a game and finally shown that you can fix them.
What is going to be the key for the defense going forward? Because they've had a couple slow starts now for 3 straight games.
Well, I think today the running game got going a little bit more than they probably wanted to, especially when they sat in those meeting rooms this week. They said they have a two-headed monster. They have 2 really good running backs. We can't let them get the running game going. So defensively, the guys are probably not concerned, but a little bit down that they let the running game get going against a team that was their best chance to win, was to run the ball. So I think going forward, it comes down to continuing to stop the running game and getting pressure. If you can rush 4 guys and keep 7 guys into coverage, you have a chance to beat a lot of teams, especially the teams that you're playing in your division. You're not facing a Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers and Mahomes in this division. So if you can continue to stop the running game, you have a chance to win a lot of games.
When you have somebody like linebacker Demario Davis, who had 12 tackles today, playing the way that he is, you're eliminating them the ability to get into the second level of the defense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I'm so glad we didn't get out of the show without mentioning DeMario, because DeMario, double-digit tackles, all the guy does is produce. He's covering tight ends down the field with a knee brace the size of his body. I mean, most guys in DeMario Davis' position probably wouldn't be playing on Sunday, playing in the NFL based on the injury he has with his knee. And I'm not a doctor, I'm not diagnosing with anything, but I just know as a linebacker, anytime you're out there running around with a big knee brace on like that, it probably means you probably shouldn't be playing. So DeMario, outstanding job, and he's the heartbeat of the defense, and all he does is show up every Sunday. Whether he's 100% or not, he just makes plays.
Well, it's really good to see that effort paid off with a win in this one, and the fact that the Saints beat the Colts and the fact that the Falcons lost to the Titans means that the Saints are now first in the NFC South, tied with the Falcons for the lead. It's been a little tough getting here, but everything, yes, is still in front of the Saints, and then they have two opponents coming up in the Bears and the Vikings that are two teams that are very beatable.
Absolutely they are, and you get the Bears at home. You get a chance to carry over some of this momentum in front of the home crowd, get the home crowd back into it. It's feared that Kirk Cousins has tore his Achilles, so that would be a huge loss for the Minnesota Vikings. So, yeah, absolutely. You have to take advantage of those things when they happen. Unfortunately, it's an injury for Kirk, but, it's about winning the games you're supposed to win. When you look on paper and you're the more talented team and you have the advantage of playing the Bears at home, you have to take advantage of those things. And I think one other thing about today's game is you kind of had that moment late in the game, just like the Green Bay game, where you thought, oh, gosh, we need the defense to stand up when we need them to. And they did. They made the plays when it mattered most, and that can be another confident factor for this team.
Definitely. Well, we need to start stacking some wins because after that Vikings game is the bye, and then we'll see the Atlanta Falcons. So the divisional games will start up again. Want to kind of continue this momentum, continue to build on a victory. It has been a 38-27 win for the Saints today against the Colts. For Scott Shanle, John DeShazier, I'm Erin Summers. Thank you so much for joining us today. Enjoy the victory, the rest of your Halloween weekend, and be safe on the 31st. Enjoy this one, Saints fans, and we'll talk to you again next week.